This farmhouse has a paranormal feeling. Published by Ouija Brothers. The brothers are filming when one feels the hanging wallpaper move a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of moved in the LP.
Did you touch it?
I didn't touch it. I didn't move. I was a bit this close away.
I did feel some cold coming though.
Not long after, a strange noise is heard. A second clip taken by the cameraman captures the sound again from a different angle. It clearly wasn't him making the sound.
Okay. That? Is that you?
I think it's the floor.
I was like someone got a marble and rolled it. Hey? Is that you?
I think it's the floor.
Later, they hear a knock and then a creepy voice. They find a cat in the house, and then again outside. While the cat is cute and all, the house holds other creatures as well. These ones, not so cute. The enormous spider starts moving, and the brothers quickly wrap things up. While spirits are one thing, spiders are just a bit too much. A YouTuber named Shavir Joffrey has been hearing loud knocks and other strange noises at night, so he decides to half-jokingly ghost search around his house for fun. Nothing happens until he starts talking about what he is going to do to the ghost when he catches it. Do you think this is paranormal or just a friend off camera?
You know, any ghost that comes in, game over, my... Did you hear that? Did you?
Okay, so that might not be enough to convince you, but as soon as they crack more jokes, they hear a slight scraping noise, kind of like somebody breathing through a straw, and this time it is right by them. I think there's another part that they might have missed. Do you hear someone take a breath here?
And we're like, I think...
The Camino de la Muerte, or Road of Fate, lies in Bolivia along a 50-mile rocky narrow downhill road. The pass is so dangerous that the Inter-American Development Bank deemed it the most dangerous in the world in 1995. Somewhere between 200 to 300 people perish each year on this road. In this video, a bus driver attempts to traverse it to his own detriment. The road, which had recently suffered heavy rain, was prone to landslides, making the crossing even riskier business than usual. After ordering his passengers off the bus for safety's sake, they watch in terror as the driver attempts to creep across a very shaky and crumbling stretch of sand and rock, one that should not be crossed. The passengers attempt to help guide him, with one man in the video moving forward to motion that the driver move further away from the edge. It appears as if the bus will be successful in completing this crossing. But suddenly, the ground crumbles beneath it, and the bus tips, falling over the cliff, through the trees, and down the mountain. While it's fortunate that the 50 passengers survived their devastating journey, sadly, their driver did not. Let There Be Light, posted to the Ghost Video subreddit by Zombie Foxes, the Redditor explains, the security guard quit after seeing the CCTV of an orb walking through a car park and turning on lights in the storage room. The lights can only be turned on with a sensor when you walk 4 to 5 steps in the bike store, which also requires a fob to access it. The video shows the car park in question. For a while, there's nothing to see here, but then the tiny white speck or orb floats slowly across the scene from the bottom right of the screen to the door. Just as it arrives there, the light beyond flicks on. Coincidence? Or is there just something here that we cannot see? If it's true that the lights are only triggered when a person enters, then who or what's inside? No wonder the security guard didn't want to stick around. A doll with a creepy aura is chilling enough. So what happens when the doll actually moves? The G-Team Paranormal Investigators posted this video to YouTube in March of 2019 writing, After my recent video with Omar, I decided to take his haunted dolls home with me that night. I did not bring them inside my home. I left them in a shed out back. After watching back the video I did with Omar a few times, I decided to introduce his dolls to mine and turn the camera on. The video reveals an unsettling movement. As Patty, the host, is talking about the dolls, you can see one of the porcelain dolls' heads moves ever so slightly.
Because I don't want to keep her, but I'd like her to go to a good home. I mean, if there's somebody out there that's interested, I don't... Did that thing just move?
As if she's listening. Is she? If she is, does she like what she's hearing? She must not have gone full on Chucky when the camera stopped rolling. So we can assume so. Paranormal investigator Tim Morozov has seen a lot in his line of work, but he calls this the worst night he's ever had in a haunted house. Let's see why. First, something appears on his monitor. A little later, the lights go out. Then something lets itself in. Tim checks it out. When he doesn't find anything, he decides to sleep, but he really shouldn't. The demon seems to have choked him. And that's not the end of it. He says the inscription was written as if from inside the mirror. Later, the demon is again captured creeping on the monitor.
Можете дать мне знак?
As Tim looks for him, he's found hiding. And the game continues. Until the demon makes its move. I don't think I've seen a demon appear on camera like that before. And then for it to get so aggressive, Tim is lucky to have made it out alive. Ghost hunter Simply Sarat has a profoundly paranormal experience while exploring a haunted house in India. He sets a wind-up toy on the ledge of a window as a way for a ghost to communicate its presence. They are kind of goofing around when suddenly things get very serious and very creepy. They think laughter is coming from the window, but then they hear more scary stuff from above. They run into the room with the wind-up toy, only to hear more noises following close behind. Running footsteps sends them rushing out of the house, and as they flee, the wind-up toy moves by itself. He holds it up to the camera to make sure the paranormal evidence is caught on tape. He has one hand on the camera and one hand holding the toy. There's no tie for him to have wound it up. And the wind-up toy somehow continues to move on its own as they run into the forest away from the abandoned haunted house that has scared them so terribly bad. This is said to be a real ghost video from Singapore. A woman jogs down the road when she has a creepy encounter with a stranger who may or may not be paranormal. She doesn't hear any footsteps until he is running away. It's like he was never behind, and when she looks to where he just was, he's gone. Then he passes again and things get even scarier. You could pass somebody twice like this if you ran a wide loop around them, but why he would do this and scare her is something I doubt we could ever explain. I don't think this is paranormal, but I do think acting this way is not normal. I think it's most likely a short film, but there are no credits, and it presents itself as a real ghost video caught on camera in the description. I'm not sure if a low-key jump scare is even possible, but I think I might have found one.
So what are you girls doing up there? You talking to you?
The dog looks over because if you look closely, its ear actually moves on its own, or more accurately, like it was grabbed by an invisible hand. The woman claims this was a ghost caught on camera, pulling her dog's ear, but I guess they could have tied a string around the ear. Here's a screenshot of the exact moment it happened at 4 seconds to help us better decide. Look at this small strip and tell me if this was a string or part of the dog's ear. I'm leaning towards fake on this one. It wouldn't be hard to tie a little piece of string around the fur, but with that said, I would appreciate any help confirming this analysis. Sarah Presley of Meet the Presleys apparently has caught a ghost on camera who is trying a little too hard to better know her and her family. It's past midnight when her son Josh turns off the lights. A ghost orb appears in the middle of the video at 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and then again briefly at 2 minutes and 13 seconds. When he crosses the room on his phone, the orb moves away from him. I think this light is from the screen of his phone. His mom, on the other hand, is creeped out beyond belief and pretty worried. Overall, I'm not sure if this video is paranormal or not and need your help to decide.
This is not like your regular staircase. It's just not like where you can look directly all the way to the first floor.
A man knows his apartment building has a ghost in the stairwell.
It's a creepy place.
He nods politely at someone going downstairs. Time passes and then he notices something strange.
I haven't heard him exit though. That's the weird thing.
He saw someone enter, he heard them go down the steps, and yet they never leave. More weird sounds is the only response he gets. He seems like a different person in a video update 6 months later, much more cautious, like a lot has happened to him in the time since.
Creepy things have been happening here, and I know this place is definitely haunted.
This is where things get weird in a creepy way. The door he just came through is now open, and downstairs is a dark space that suddenly clears up.
What is that? I gotta look at that. That was a shadow figure.
When he goes to where the alleged shadow figure was, nothing's there. Here it is one more time, zoomed in at 22 seconds. I might see a small figure, but help me decide if it's paranormal or just my imagination. A YouTuber named Dan Baines is the keeper of Mr. Fritz, a ventriloquist dummy that was once used to entertain the troops during the 1940s. He's very old and has since fallen apart to the point where all that remains is his disembodied head. Mr. Fritz is believed to be possessed by the spirit of his creator, a man who lost his life in battle and refuses to rest in peace. Lately, Dan has been seeing and hearing things all around the antique, so he sets up a camera to record. It's 3:30 in the morning when the glass door pops open. I don't see a string. Do you? This happens again at around the same time the next night, except this time his eyes open. String or no string, watch this part and tell me how a wooden ventriloquist dummy can open its eyes with no one nearby. And if you zoom in for a closer look, you'll see two orbs race by shortly after the case opens. I'm not saying that this video is impossible to fake, but unless this is an electronic prop that is being controlled with a remote, then I don't see how it can be done. This video was posted on my subreddit by someone in Palo Alto, California. For well over a minute, these large lights jump all around the sky, changing direction seemingly at random without logic or reason. After a while, the mysterious lights slowly lower to the ground, almost as if landing somewhere unseen.
Yo, what is that?
Oh my gosh.
They're like moving around.
Look at that.
What is that?
This landing maneuver strongly suggests that this is some kind of controlled aircraft, though exactly what it's being controlled by is anyone's guess. The person who posted this video claims to be a pilot and has absolutely no idea what this could be. I thought this could be an experiment with flares, but they say military flares are much smaller and move differently. Whatever it was, I would be particularly worried because, according to his estimations, the strange lights apparently landed about 20 miles from his house. Dennis from Dark Ghost Paranormal is exploring this scary house with ghosts, and he's in for a real boo. While searching what looks like a storage area of the home, he falls to the ground. In fact, it looks like he breaks clean through the ground, and he does. The disturbance is captured from another room. A mysterious anomaly is seen in that same storage room. And that anomaly may be getting aggressive with him. But nothing is there, or so it seems. Just as he's decided to leave, he's confronted by the ghost again. One actually might think it's an earthquake, if not for the terrifying knowledge that this place is haunted. Later, he hears a whole lot of ruckus again and goes to investigate, when behind him, there's a growl. What sort of beast is in here with Dennis? I don't think that's a ghost. Sounds more like a demon to me.
Patrick Janssen goes into the basement to retrieve some belongings, among them a camera, when he sees something out of the corner of his eye. He decides to start recording all around him since he has his camera anyway, and he's surprised by what he finds. Here it is again in slow motion, a black shadow passing from left to right as he walks forward. A shadow that looks different than his own is shown here at 32 seconds, which looks normal and comes from the proper angle. So tell me if Patrick is just good at video editing, or if there's truly a shadow person in his home, because I think something could be living down there rent-free.
This next one will make anyone terrified of exploring the backwoods ever again. Redditor Mutt Magician shares this pair of creepy videos to Reddit. He writes, I was in the backwoods of Oklahoma when I found a random shed full of children's clothes and dolls. Unfortunately, this was all I filmed. The video shows a doll missing a leg and with its head and arms discolored with dirt. It seems like the doll is quite fragile because he breaks it with a small squeeze. The Redditor writes that after finding the doll, he explored further and found an abandoned shed with children's clothes, dolls, and backpacks. In a follow-up video, the Redditor takes viewers to where he found this abandoned shed. For some reason, I kept expecting a jump scare in this follow-up. While I didn't jump, I think this is incredibly scary. What were these dolls there for? Why were they in such disrepair? I have so many questions about this one, and very few answers. After cutting a giant hole into a concrete wall, YouTuber Cyrex686 climbs through the hole to show us the secret room he's found beyond the wall. It's not big, but it is something, he says, noting that there's an unconnected pipe coming diagonal down the wall in the room. In one corner of the ceiling, there's a hook. At another point in the wall, another pipe juts out, but leads nowhere. A pile of wood is piled on the ground, tied with a length of rope. The point of this secret room is unclear. Whether it has no utility or some secret use, we may never know. A man named John Crawford casually walks around a Walmart in Beaver Creek, Ohio, well armed. Here you can see him standing in an aisle on the right side of the screen.
Gun in the store.
Is he got it pulled out?
Yeah, he's like pointing at people.
What does he look like?
The 911 caller grows more nervous with each passing moment and tells the operator that the situation is growing dire.
I don't know what he's just like looking around, waving it. He looks like he's just trying to load it.
He's just trying to load it?
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Soon a family of 3 walks down the same aisle as John Crawford and starts checking out some animals for sale. This is where the 911 call gets kind of strange.
My name is Ronald Ritchie. He just pointed at like 2 children.
Okay.
Watch the video again and you'll see that John never really aims at the kids. In fact, the family barely reacts to his presence, and I'm not sure if they even notice him at all. One of them hangs around a bit longer before leaving, so I wouldn't say they were exactly in distress, but the way the 911 caller describes the man and his actions understandably has the police on edge. An officer arrives on the scene expecting trouble, and a brief altercation ensues. The surprised suspect is laid to rest on the spot after police thought he was going to attack. As it turns out, John Crawford was simply buying an airsoft at Walmart on that day. The person who called 911 did not get in any trouble, but many now agree he was overreacting. Let me know if you would have called the police based on what you've seen on this CCTV video. While at their friend's mountain house, this party found a series of tiny handprints on the door. The only problem? They match none of their hands. THAXTJ2 published this mysterious video to YouTube. Let's have a look.
Whose little
handprints?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Handprints on the door. They're tiny.
We have a ghost.
And wait, they both go the same way.
We have a
But
ghost.
no, she went.
The prints are very small, even child-sized.
They're tiny.
The YouTuber writes that none of their hands were wet either. So what created these marks? Seems to me like yet another child ghost. I'm starting to think this place is haunted. This short clip from a paranormal investigation leaves me wanting more. As the device is going off, Danny from Nighthawks Paranormal asks the spirit politely to back off.
Can you step away, please? Thank you.
And it listens. Then the spirit politely asks him to back off.
If you want me to leave. Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you.
This intriguing exchange has me convinced that ghosts really are trying to communicate with us, and it has me convinced to watch the full investigation. YouTuber NM Ghost Hunter shares a series of videos in which he's documented the poltergeist activity happening in his home. Let's take a look. This first piece of footage occurred on February 5th, 2022. This happens for a full minute, while in another room this happens. In a second clip, captured on February 21st, the poltergeist strategically destroys his kitchen. In a third clip, captured on the 10th of August, the poltergeist was making a lot of noise in the garage, so the YouTuber grabbed his camera. This is what he captured.
Evil, flick the light again.
And this is the footage he captured on his handheld camera.
Are you evil? Is that a yes or a no? If you're evil, flick the light again. Okay. Whoa.
After this, he went back inside, but left one camera in the garage filming. It captured this. And lastly, on November 12th, he captured some activity near the living room. Watch the bookshelf. Here it is from another angle. This all certainly looks alarming to me. I think this is more than enough evidence to call in the Ghostbusters. A YouTuber named C. Codain is with a group of friends who are ready to explore an old creepy tunnel. They keep running out because they think they see something inside, but nothing shows up on camera until their fourth and final attempt. First, they hear it before they see it. It sounds a lot like the other rake videos in my opinion, but let me know what you hear. They remain at the mouth of the tunnel while the creature slowly walks towards them, making those sounds all the while. They clearly get the creature on video once and for all, but not without risking their lives first. The shrieking monster is all gray and stands upright like a human. It's hard to say whether this was their friend or an actual sewer mutant. Their reactions of excitement and disbelief sound real, at least compared to most other videos, so I'm inclined to believe this was an actual creature they spotted at random. A TikTok video gets really creepy when some scary moments are caught on tape. A ghost opens the door, or at least that's what this scary TikTok moment was, according to Shimei57, who is sitting on the floor of her apartment when someone enters unannounced. I don't hear any footsteps after the door opens, no bags getting put down, so maybe it was a ghost after all, but the scariest moment of all is yet to come. The laughter of a little ghost girl seems like it's coming from up close, and the creepy TikTok video abruptly ends. Either something paranormal has entered her house, or this video was edited to make it appear to be haunted. I think this video could be paranormal, but more evidence is needed to help me make a final decision. According to YouTuber Steve Ronan, this mansion used to be a hideout of an individual who ended many lives, but Steve discovered it wasn't empty. While he's in the cellar, he has a bit of a surprise.
It's a tiny, little cellar. That's creepy. Whoa! Oh my! I can see a mouse right there just staring at me.
As he's continuing to search the place, he wonders if someone's living here.
Kind of looks like this is being used, too. It's a dead cockroach on the floor. That's pretty nasty.
Soon they realize they shouldn't be here.
Yeah, so I don't know how long we should be here.
Okay, we should get out soon.
Yeah. That's extra.
And this confirms it.
This is getting creepy now. This might be lab. That's what we're thinking.
We are together.
And now it's time to leave.
Yeah. This was a famous artist's house.
I think a gang is using this. Let's get out.
This exploration just kept going from bad to worse. I probably would have left the minute I found out it was once the hideout of a very evil person. There's only one thing scarier than a ghost sighting. A ghost sighting you. That's what Garmets1 claimed to have caught on video in a churchyard in Estholt, United Kingdom. The footage opens on a shot of a church. After panning down, the distinct figure of a girl peering around the corner of the building comes into view. She quickly darts back and out of sight, and when pursued has disappeared into thin air. The shot pans back to the corner, up the building and around, but the ghost girl is nowhere in sight. Whether you're a believer in the paranormal or a skeptic, this video will make you look twice. A YouTuber named Bad Choice Noah decides to live up to his name by feeding his huge collection of snakes alone in the dark at 3 a.m. He's hoping to catch something paranormal on video while he's at it, but something almost catches him instead.
Go, Ricky. Oh, God, I almost just got destroyed by him.
The large snake misses its target and nearly peels out of its container onto the floor. Noah's incredibly lucky to have pulled his hand away in time, where the snake would have had that to bite on instead. This ghost is hungry. Published by Pilot Error podcast in December of 2020, this woman was finally able to capture on camera what had apparently been happening for a while. After hearing a noise in the kitchen, she grabs her camera and waits. That's when she sees this. The cupboard is opening just a little bit at first, then it opens a little wider, and then, instead of running away from the spirit, this woman runs toward it.
Open.
And once in the kitchen, things get worse. Is this poltergeist just inviting everyone to dinner? And will you attend? Should be an interesting enough meal. A man films the road ahead while speaking in a different language. I'm not sure what he says, but it sounds like he is trying his best to stay calm in the face of danger. If you can translate this part for me, it would really help.
Berikan ku kekuatan dan jauhilah segala kejahatan, ya Allah.
He slowly turns around the camera to reveal a hooded figure floating in his car. Only the upper half of its body is visible, and there's total darkness where its face should be. He doesn't dare look at the phantom in his rearview mirror, instead keeping his eyes on the road and letting the camera look for him. If this isn't a prop, then what could it be besides a ghost? While exploring deep inside the cave of Mounds, YouTuber Near Shadow starts to hear whispers. Listen closely.
Oh, your light, hold on.
What was that? What was that? What is that?
Hello?
Later, you can definitely hear a child's voice in this larger cavern.
Yeah, it looks like it's like gonna fall. Look.
It does. This is cool.
Yeah, there's so much moisture that you don't know, like look how wet that is, and then you can't.
The team doesn't appear to hear this in the moment. To me, the voice sounds a lot louder than the earlier whispers. Is there a child spirit trapped in the cave of Mounds? I think it's time to send in the cave divers. A YouTuber named Rata Negra Mago is positive that his house is haunted, and he claims to have the evidence to back it up. The kid's toy moves across the table and I don't see a string. Then a bottle falls off the table. There are no shadows coming from the other room when it happens. No one is around. And right before it happens, this strange traveling light appears. Looks paranormal to me. 4 days later, he catches this object moving all by itself. This one I find a little harder to believe because I feel like it's definitely in their grandma's line of sight. I mean, how could you miss a bright green reflective veg doing 360s for almost a full minute is beyond me. She must have been fully absorbed in her show. I have my doubts about this one, but at the same time I don't know how they're doing it, so maybe it's real. This final video taken almost a year later is perhaps the oddest of all. This hanging ornament begins moving in place with nothing to help get it started. Yes, it's by an open window, but there's no wind. The leaves on this plant don't move, and neither does this towel hanging over a chair. And it's not the air conditioner either, because this connected red string doesn't move at all. And if you're still not convinced, take a listen. At 1 minute and 20 seconds, this phantom light reflects across the stereo glass, though to be fair, it could just be a member of the family. 2 days prior to this video, YouTuber The Series of Tubes' house was broken into. Now he is riding around his neighborhood when he sees a suspicious person who looks out of place. Upon questioning, the man claims that he has lived in this neighborhood since 1992. The two have never met before, but somehow he knows exactly where this YouTuber lives.
Oh yeah, you guys are kind of in that little dark little corner area too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally...
The longer they talk, the less sense the stranger makes, especially when he randomly pulls out a huge crowbar without prompting and says this.
Yeah, I was laying on the sidewalk.
You found that?
Yeah, just laying around on the sidewalk, right? You know?
Yeah, I could.
The crowbar looks large enough to easily pry open a door or window and gain entry. I'm not sure what his intentions are. Maybe he really did find it laying around, or maybe he is up to no good. Tell me if you believe him when he says this next part, especially with all of the other things I've shown you.
Yeah, you can ask the cops, I'm a good guy, it's alright.
It's all good.
The series of tubes remains friendly enough throughout the conversation, but does mention that he has a firearm in his house that he doesn't want to use on anyone. The two part ways, at least for now. A YouTuber named AG is playing with her phone on the floor when her CCTV system records a bizarre and possibly paranormal display behind her. The strangely shaped phantom consists of little more than 2 arms and a head. The face is simply a single eye in the middle, almost like it's looking at her from the side. The video itself looks a little pixelated, so I guess this could be special effects, or maybe even the brief reflection of something against the wall, though of what I cannot say. Stranger still is how, out of everywhere else in the room, it appears directly behind her, almost like it's self-aware in choosing to do so. UK's Drizzly Jeremy goes exploring an abandoned building, in his words, just to see how it was.
I'm gonna explore an abandoned morgue. I don't want to go in because it looks scary.
Inside is quiet and creepy. Beyond a decrepit little office and break room, they find the morgue area, where the passed away were once kept in large refrigerated units. They retch at the disgusting stench. A layer of foul slime has rotted the floor.
Oh! What is it? The floor's all soggy, fam.
That's when some scary moments are caught on camera.
Go in there. Off the Andre. What? Bro.
They hear a loud noise behind them and quickly get out of there. I'm pretty sure the noise is coming from in the space where bodies once were.
What the?
Are you brave enough to take one last look in that storage room before leaving? I wouldn't dare. Sleepwalker has a few tricks up his sleeve. Published to the Tide channel, Haunted Before Bed. This security footage captures a sleepwalker's misadventures overnight, and they're scarier than you can even imagine. The sleepwalker is seen standing over his bedmate, then sitting straight up in bed. A little later, he is posed strangely like he's dancing. Another room security camera captures him standing over a table, staring at it for a moment. Then he reaches his arm towards a water bottle on the far end of the table. This is where things get truly creepy. His arm stretches like Gumby to grab the bottle, and then retracts to a normal length. Later, as he sits back in bed, an arm reaches out from under the bed. This time, it's not his Gumby arm, it's someone else's. A couple of guys are shown sleeping in another room at around 2:40 in the morning, when suddenly a woman's scream is heard. They both get up from bed to investigate, and as they do, they hear a crashing sound like broken glass. They open the door to find the bed empty of its two occupants, and a human-like figure crouched on a windowsill, its eyes glowing as it looks at them. The figure then jumps from the second floor. The cameraman races to the window, but only darkness reigns. What was this figure? And where did the sleepwalker and his roommate go? It's a twisted nightmare in the making. A London vacation goes from romantic to horrifying for a YouTube channel called YouTube Vlogs when everyone begins running at once at a train station. You can feel the panic taking over as multiple people shout the same questions without any clear answer. YouTube Vlog separates from the stampeding crowd and escapes only by scrambling over a dumpster and climbing a fence to safety. Notice how only younger people are able to do this. Those less mobile were sadly left behind in the chaos. It later turns out that the evacuation was caused after a vapor device accidentally blew up inside of someone's suitcase. It's crazy to think how a tiny malfunction could have caused thousands of people to run for their lives. If everyone had somehow remained calm, maybe more information about this event could have been passed on instead of panicking. This scary Reddit video was posted by a user named Naval Court, who says he caught a spirit giving his friend's child a hard time while it's trying to rest. First, the child stands up as if he sees somebody enter, or maybe he's even called over. He slowly looks up at something much taller than him, and as soon as he lays his eyes upon it, he falls with force. He sits off and shakes it off, and then something flies by overhead. He even looks over his shoulder and sees it. Some people think the kid is just acting silly, as children tend to do, and maybe even shaking his head to try and stay awake. But I agree with Naval Court that this is weird and could be a ghost like he thought. It's a little past 3 a.m. when Braden Lee hears objects falling over and strange noises coming from within the wall. The situation sounds like it could be paranormal until he turns the lights on and sees this small but scary creature perched in the corner of the room. Now it's time for his dad to get the creature out of his home and into the night. The bat has been flying everywhere, and he only has a few moments to act before it goes airborne again, so he has no choice but to put on some gloves and catch the creature, and it's all caught on tape to make for a scary 3 a.m. video indeed. He lets out a terrified scream and fumbles the bat before recovering and taking it outside. I'm glad that everyone is alright and that it didn't land on his face or anything, because it definitely would have defended itself, and there's no telling where that creature has been or what it has.
Oh my god. That was good. Trace, am I a hero or what?
A YouTuber named the Spyro Gamer has a mysterious problem with his PS4 controller that I don't think is covered by the warranty. The unexplained video begins with him turning the controller on, and the light on the top remains solid like normal, but whenever he passes by this area of his room...
Is in my cabeça, so if I go over here... and there, look, see? See? See that?
The controller flashes in a mysterious way and then turns off. No matter what he does, the controller refuses to stay on in the closet. Keep in mind, it was able to stay on normally when he was on his bed, so the controller appears to be set up properly and not broken. The unexplained video starts to make a little more sense when you consider ghosts supposedly can disrupt electronic equipment, and that's when the ghost stops trying to hide.
I think it's gone. Yeah. Oh. Oh.
He feels something walk by, the controller turns off, and then the door slams. Freaky, right? A YouTuber named Nerdy Gamer records someone standing outside of his San Antonio home in a clown outfit with a bright red balloon. He opens the door and the two share a tense stare down before exchanging words. The stranger does not respond to warnings or even flat out threats. However, they do shuffle around for a bit each time after he speaks, which shows that they are at least contemplating what he says.
Creeping right there by my driveway, just staring there. He's been there for about 15 minutes. Yeah, you need to leave, yo. I already caught the cops. Yo, you need to leave. I'm being dead serious. I will you.
Finally, he grows tired of the one-sided exchange and waits for police. No follow-up was recorded after this part. So was this a skit, or did a silent clown really come bother a YouTuber at his own home? It's 3 in the morning when Daniel, Christensen's dog, begins growling and the bedroom door swings open. Daniel is staring into the dark hallway while recording with his camera, waiting for something to happen.
What a trip.
Here you can see what could be the head, shoulders, and left arm of a shadow person. It's towards the corner of the room on the right hand side. Let me know if you see it. Then the shadow appears again, much closer this time. It's way too dark though, so I can't tell for sure if it's a shadow or just his thumb. A vaguely human shape stands on the other side of a sliding glass door without making a sound. The faint outline never tries to get in, just hangs around the door for a while only to walk away. Apparently this has been repeatedly happening for the past month, but nothing has ever been on the other side. I wish they would have opened the door to prove that this wasn't a friend of theirs messing with them, but I understand why they wouldn't want to put themselves at risk. Besides, whatever this is, it doesn't really have much of a form, and I think I can see a smooth flat surface where the face should be. It hardly looks human. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Odd Entertainment 279, the Redditor titled this post, Croaky Ghost Sound, and they went on to include some more backstory in the comments writing, I was at this weird abandoned BBC receiving station that closed in the 70s. Watch this back just now. This sound was in the video. Took this just 2 days ago. Well, let's have a listen. Did you hear it? If so, what do you think it is? More than one person in the comments thinks it's a frog, but I can't say I have enough frog knowledge to agree or disagree. Do you think this is the case? Or are you siding with the OP, who thinks he's captured a ghost sound on camera outside this abandoned building? A person is filming a strange aircraft outside of their home as it performs mysterious maneuvers that they've never seen before.
Steady speed, drop down, now he's dropping.
There's not a single cloud in the sky, yet the airplane appears to be blinking in and out of existence. It completely disappears after a while and never returns. What strikes me as odd is the sheer number of comments from YouTubers who claim that they were searching for the exact same thing after they had seen it flying around their home. Everything from UFOs to new cloaking technology has been suggested. I'll leave you with a different video of the same type of plane, this time taken years later. There are tons of these kinds of videos floating around, and they seem fairly legitimate. Let me know what you think. A 4-circuit CCTV system in Japan shows a woman waiting to get an elevator, but what we're looking at is the woman in the upper right monitor who is about to do the impossible. Did you see it? If not, I'll show you again. This does appear to be at least somewhat edited, especially when you pause halfway through and get that green screen look, but maybe it's just a glitch with the video file, and I need to accept the possibility that it could actually be real. Lainey and Ben's haunted house has turned up the intensity in recent months. Now things are levitating. Watch the lamp to the left. A little later, a cutlery drawer opens and closes in the kitchen. Then the tap turns on. You can hear the water running. It turns off and back on again. Shortly after, a strange, unexplained sound is heard. This is followed by some more strange noise, which sounds to me like a garbage disposal. Although all of the activity frightens me, the levitation in the beginning has me really hooked. It also has plenty of people really scared. Stay tuned for more fear. Ghostly girls are enough to scare a pack of boys at night. Published by L. Kevin in November of 2017, the title in Spanish reads, "A ghost girl gets out in Mexico's Pantheon." The video begins with a bunch of guys running off and shining a flashlight towards some trees. It's unclear what they've seen there, but they start shouting in Spanish over towards that area. One of them carries a large stick, likely as protection to use against whatever they saw there. As they continue to shout, the camera moves to one of the guys who's sitting on the ground, and when it turns back up again to the spot, there's a shadowy figure on the wall of the building. It appears to be a long-haired girl with her head tilted. They start walking away down a side road. Then one of them starts shouting and they all start running. Although it's unclear what they saw, whatever it was must have been frightening enough to hop a fence to escape. As E. Mendez in the video's comments wrote, "The one who searches finds." These boys found what they were looking for. I bet they won't dare search again.
I just did some research, and I guess if you're gonna get lost at a dead-end, creepy bridge, at least if there's some cool legend, ghost story behind it, then it's worth checking out, right?
An outdoors YouTube channel called Nomadic Fanatic has been camping for a week when he comes across a spooky location, an old bridge that's haunted. According to legend, a bandit named Stuckley was brought to justice here.
And apparently every once in a while, if you hear a splash in the water, that's Stucky's ghost behind here. There's nothing you can really do about. We're out of here. That's about enough of that.
Nomadic Fanatic is all by himself, holding a GoPro when he hears a splash below, which is a bit too much of a coincidence, so I guess that means the ghost story could be real.
And unfortunately, there is a lot of graffiti left behind here. There's nothing you can really do about.
I mean, Nomadic Fanatic has been alone all week and has tons of video evidence to prove he was by himself when this happened. I don't see how it could be set up, and therefore I think this scary noise could be a paranormal encounter with a ghost EVP caught on camera. It's 5:36 in the morning, hours before anyone should be inside of the Safety Harbor Public Library in Florida. Everything looks to be in order until this book goes flying off the shelf for absolutely no reason. The opening librarian was surprised to find a book lying perfectly balanced on the floor the next day. So they checked the security camera only to find this strange occurrence. Even if this was set up and someone was standing on the other side of the shelf to push a book to the ground, there's no way they could have made the book balance perfectly on its side like that. It really is as if a poltergeist purposefully made the book land in that position, so as to attract as much fearful suspicion as possible. And apparently it worked. This one looks straight out of a horror movie, posted by Wet Tent YT to the Chills Narrator subreddit, and originally published to YouTube in September of 2020. This is an urban exploring adventure turned into a nightmare. The uploader explains that this is a follow-up to a recent video he posted. He came across several tunnels after leaving an abandoned garage, and in these tunnels he encountered a figure he'd seen at the last location. These videos were filmed within hours of each other and showcase a strange person or figure that followed me while exploring. If you looked closely, it seemed to have an axe, and its eyes also looked like they were sort of glowing. In the video, after wandering down a tunnel, the uploader hears something. He sets his camera down on the ground in the tunnel facing the exit. That's when the aforementioned figure is captured, pounding on the roof of the tunnel with what appears to be an axe. Meanwhile, the uploader races down the adjacent tunnel, and when the Axeman leaves, retrieves his camera from the ground, and races back towards where the Axeman exited, shouting, "Who are you?" No response. He should probably be grateful about that. Going to medical school presents many challenges: high tuition, debt, and the occasional wild animal encounter. If you were coming up the steps and saw a Black Panther animal barreling at you, you would almost certainly run. Big mistake. It's already in motion and your panic would trigger its instincts. You're not getting far. The panther starts to go into someone's room, but something makes it think twice about going in. It probably doesn't like being cornered with one exit and chooses not to go further inside. The college in Karnataka, India went into lockdown as a result of this scary CCTV video. Yeah, I guess that would do it. I should point out that this isn't all that uncommon in schools across India, and I found some other creepy videos too. Here's a leopard at a college in Nainital. Thankfully, the only prey he finds is a car passing by, but imagine a college student looking at their feet walking along this fence. They'd never see it coming. I just hope everybody's alright. In the Dominican Republic in April 2013, uploader DR Local encountered a mysterious sea creature during a scooter-powered night scuba dive. The time was 9:15 p.m., while the depth was 20 meters. The creature was reportedly bony, 3/4 of a foot long, with a small head and sharp teeth. It also had translucent fins and a purple and steel sheen-colored body. The mysterious creature swam both backwards and forwards. The dorsal fin helped it maneuver both directions and propelled it at higher speeds moving forwards, which made it appear more eel-like rather than blade-shaped. According to the uploader, what could this eel-like creature be? YouTube commenters, of course, are full of suggestions. Doom Octopus said it looked like a young oarfish, while Zane Reavers said it was a cutlass fish. Both of these seem plausible, but Sampal's suggestion seems to be on the nose. It's a hairtail, very common around Sydney, Australia, usually fished at night by a very dedicated fisherman, very sharp teeth, and not too bad to eat. Whatever the thing is, I wouldn't want to run into it in the depths of the sea at night. Have you ever seen a door slam all on its own? Okay, but have you seen it happen in a creepy underground morgue? Steady Pop published this horrifying video in May of 2017, which begins scary and then escalates even further. As the camera wads into the darkness with a flickering lantern lighting a hallway, strange slamming noises are heard. You might be screaming, "Don't go down there," at your computer screen right now, but the cameraman isn't listening. He walks towards the hallway, and as he gets closer, you can see what's making that slamming noise. It's a red door down at the end of the hallway. It's opening and closing shut on repeat with no end in sight. As the cameraman gets closer and closer, your heart starts beating faster and faster. And then suddenly the door stops slamming. The lights flicker on and then off completely. When they turn back on again, the cameraman walks over to the door and opens it. Nothing is inside. The cameraman turns down towards the end of the hallway and into the adjacent room, but nothing. Was this the paranormal in action? Or as some in the comments believe, was a fishing line involved? Real or fake, what do you think? It's certainly some interesting footage. This next video is most likely CGI, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time dissecting it. It was supposedly taken somewhere in the open waters in 2013. Crew members are recording a whale when all of a sudden, they capture something that, if not fake, is absolutely insane. The whole situation looks way too dramatic for me to believe it was just a natural event. I think a real shark attack would have been more visceral and also most likely would have taken place underwater. I have no idea about the date, time, or location of this video. All I know is that it's supposedly been uploaded to the deep web because the original uploader didn't want to be tracked by the federal government in retaliation for getting their story out. A large bright blue object is quietly claiming the night sky outside of an apartment complex.
What is this? What is that? It's a one angel.
After a while, the sky blob stops in place and begins to expand outwards. Whatever it is, by the end of the video, it seems to take up nearly half of the sky. If this is real, then we probably would have never known any of this had ever happened without the anonymous deep web. A family is crossing the border from Texas into Mexico when this SUV gets on their tail and shines a light at them in a ploy to pull them over that they didn't fall for. The family knows this vehicle belongs to a group of outlaws who collect money from any American tourist unlucky enough to cross their path, so they speed back to the border with the SUV close behind. They make it back to safety, but somewhere along the way, they have this strange encounter that everyone was too distraught to notice at the time. Maybe the grainy dashcam video is to blame, but as one commenter points out, it almost looks like this dog literally teleports into the shot at 29 seconds. At 27 seconds, you can see both streets are empty, except for a man and his bike, and then 2 seconds later, this dog appears out of nowhere, and doesn't come into focus until it's halfway across the street. I guess it could have emerged from the street corner, which was hidden by the truck in front, but however you want to look at it, you may never expect for a car chase in Mexico to end with a possibly teleporting dog. At 3:15 p.m. on February the 9th, 2004, a woman named Mora Murray withdrew $280 from an ATM. She looked serious, even frowning perhaps, or maybe I'm looking too deeply into it. Either way, this is the last recorded appearance before she disappeared in a way that's never been explained. 4 hours after this video was taken, multiple witnesses saw Mora Murray on the side of the road with a broken down car. A school bus driver pulled over to help out, but she told him that she had already called AAA, even though phone records later revealed that she hadn't, and so he left her alone, but not before reporting the bizarre experience to the police himself. When the cops arrived 20 minutes later, they found some of her personal belongings were in the car, but missing were her credit cards and cell phone. Mora Murray herself was nowhere to be found. For some strange reason, she simply wandered away from her vehicle after it broke down. None of her credit cards were ever used, and her cell phone was not used either, which probably means she didn't make it very far, and yet her body was never found. Police think she might have been planning to take her own life, but if she was planning to do this, then she would obviously have no use for money, so why would she need to take out almost $300 beforehand? Mora appears to be alone in the ATM video, so it's likely nobody is making her do any of this. The police have never been able to figure out her motives or if she's still alive. Mora called out of work that day and wrote she was having relationship problems with her boyfriend, but whether this was of her own free will or if someone was making her do this to cover their tracks remains to be determined, and quite possibly never will be properly explained. Nothing else happened for almost 12 years until a rather sinister video was uploaded on YouTube. This video, titled "Where I Put Mora," shows an empty barn in the middle of the woods. A man is laughing over a picture of Mora Murray, but we never do get to see what they look like. Nobody has been able to identify where this barn is or who uploaded this video. It could be a false lead or her actual final resting place. We'll never know for sure, and police, for whatever reason, apparently have stopped trying to find out. These scary stories sound made up until you see the video evidence that goes with it. That's when these scary moments become all too real. There's a specific fear towards someone trying to break and enter your home. The intrusion makes you feel incredibly vulnerable and violated. YouTuber What Up Chris knows what it feels like. He published this footage to YouTube in April of 2016, writing, "This man was seen trespassing and trying to enter my home. The security footage shows a white truck pass by the house in question. Presumably the truck pulls up down the street to park, while its owner gets out and saunters down the street adjacent to the home. He is seen in the video walking casually, appearing as though he might pass by the house, before he takes a sharp left and walks brazenly up to the drive towards it instead. Another camera angle catches him walking up the front steps, before turning right around again without knocking. He takes a right to walk around the house in order to find a different access of entry. Another camera captures the intruder walking around the side of the house, towards the backyard. The man disappears off camera for a moment, before returning and trying to knob off one of the side entry doors. As they are all locked, he gives up and leaves. His white truck is seen a moment later, driving the opposite direction, down the road from whence he came. The homeowner has since come out of the house in his wheelchair and can be seen taking a picture of the truck with his phone, likely in order to capture the license plate number. Smart move on the homeowner's part, although it's unclear if the attempted intruder was ever caught. We can only hope this man captured enough video evidence to put him behind bars. Maybe you aren't paranoid, but you might be followed. Published by Jasco in June of 2021. This is part 8 in a series of Rando Nautica experiences over several days. Jasco and his crew are using the app down in Florida State. During their Rando Nautica tour, they find an old sofa in the forest.
But, Wendy's? What we're here for is this. Yeah.
After some coaxing, Jasco lifts a mysterious item that's tucked into its cushions.
Looks like a video game or something. What the hell? Is it an iPod? Yeah, what's one of the old iPhones?
No.
Why is it like in saran wrap? Oh,
Wait.
That item turns out to be an old iPhone saran wrapped to the letters C and F.
Feel a little bit safer.
It is an iPhone. Look at that. iPhone.
Bro, I always wanted they had like a coral one.
That's so weird.
Okay.
What?
We just found a phone in the middle of nowhere.
I know, it's super old.
They try to turn the iPhone on, but its battery is empty. Later on the mission, Jasko says Chris has been hearing something all day, and now he hears it too.
Like, where else could it be? I don't know.
Dude, I don't know. Yo,
like, what would
literally,
it be?
hold on. Can we talk about something quick? You've been hearing things like all day long. Like, you're like, bro, what is that? Like, I hear like some type of beeping.
A beeping sound. Jen finds its source.
Chris!
What?
It's a tile tracker, bro.
That's one of those little...
A tile tracking device. She says she found it in between the middle console. They run it over, but it's still functioning.
Hold on, I'm gonna...
All this time they were being tracked. Someone was in their rental car the day before and planted it. But who? My guess is someone with ill intentions. Jose Cruz is stuck at home in Arlington, Virginia, so he decides to take a random video of the rain. Only when looking at the video much later does he notice the ghost of a girl twisting in the wind for a brief moment before fading away. From what I understand, falling rain is one of the most difficult things to fake in terms of video editing, which makes me think the ghost sighting is real. The more times you look at it, the more it looks like she really does stop, consider him for a moment, and then goes on her way. I mean, wind or not, rain shouldn't move like that unless something is physically under it. These Snapchat videos were taken days after YouTuber Miss Brown 070809 and her co-worker decide to summon a spirit at her job for fun. She has felt constantly watched ever since. Maybe it's just a glitch, but the timing and movement of these Snapchat videos is a little too coincidental at times. It really does seem as if a spirit is responding to her without delay, like here for example.
Friend, where are you? I want to see you, please.
Look at how the ghost actually appears at eye level and follows the movement of a colleague.
It's here, dancing with them.
And when she pluralizes the word friend, more of them seem to come out of nowhere.
Friends, I need to say goodbye. Oh my god, you brought so many friends here, what the f—
I find it odd that multiple faces appear after she says friends. I'm not saying that these absolutely have to be spirits, but the timing is undeniably strange at the very least. Something in this house, and they might be demons.
Hey! أعوذ بالله! أعوذ بالله!
The first one he captures on camera is pretty obvious, but he doesn't seem to see it. The second one is playing peekaboo.
Bismillah. 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 Hey!
And the last one.
أعوذ بالله!
Do you hear that roar? Well, I'm wondering what these creatures are. Most in the comments are chuffed at this dude's terrified scream. My vote is for demons, but it could be some other type of evil entity. Any idea? Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.